Here we go. Good morning, lady bosses. Donna Manley coming to you from Southeast Pennsylvania, where we have a gorgeous sunny day. And oh my gosh, it was like 68 degrees when I was out this morning. It's beautiful. Anyway, we'll do a little bit of business before we get rolling. Number one, just a warning. Finally got to the bottom of this and never realized why. I'm starting to have like weird internet problems again. Like I'm on a Zoom call and it says your internet's unstable. I'm thinking, why? And I was on the phone with Comcast and they said the bandwidth right now, or the broadband, one of those band words, is so overtaxed because so many people are using the internet. And I'm thinking she meant in my house, and I'm thinking, no, like there really aren't any extra gadgets on. Or she's like, no. She said everywhere, because of kids being home and being on the internet to do their schoolwork, and people who are working from home. So it's all taxing the whole thing, the whole system. And I don't know how long we're going to have good, stable internet, but if you lose me, that's why. But we'll figure it out as we go along. And the other thing, today's topic, the idea for today's topic came from one of you lady bosses. And that being said, I just want to encourage you that if there's anything you want to hear about or talk about, let me swipe over so I can see who's here. Hey, Lynn. Hey, Barb. How are you, ladies? If there's anything you want to hear about or talk about, let me know. Shoot me a message during the week, whatever. Good morning, Jody, because I would love to do it. I mean, I'm here. I want to talk about things that are going to serve you and that are things you want to hear about. So definitely reach out and let me know if there's anything you want to hear about. So let's see. Okay, we're almost 2 minutes in, so we're going to start. So should passion always align with your purpose? If you've heard it once, you've heard it a million times. If you do what you love, you'll never work a day of your life, right? Good morning, Lori. We've heard that so many years, and I think that's put so much pressure on us, especially as women, thinking, well, if I don't really love what I'm doing every second of the day, hey, Melissa, then I must be doing the wrong thing. I need to do something different. And I never thought about it until this lady boss brought this to me and challenged it. And it's really got me thinking that I think we're being set up with very unrealistic expectations to think that this is going to happen for everyone. And we'll talk about it and get a little deeper into it. And the reason I really feel like that's leaning in the right direction is because when I think about it, there are a lot of groups I'm in, and this one big women's group I'm in, I'm watching, and even just Facebook, the number of friends I have on Facebook, never in my life have I seen so many women who want to be public speakers, who are writing books, who are doing all this stuff just in massive, massive numbers. And the bottom line is, I've read some of those books, and they're not great. I've seen a lot of these women speak, and they're not so great. Made me realize just because it's your passion and it's what you love doesn't necessarily mean it's your purpose. Because if it's your purpose, you're going to be affecting people positively, and it's going to have, hey, Linda, it's going to have some effect and some impact, right? Well, if you just love speaking and you've decided, I'm going to be a speaker, but everybody's sleeping through your entire presentation, or they're on their phone the whole time, maybe that's not your purpose. You might love it, but maybe it's not your purpose. So when this lady boss brought this idea to me, and then I thought about that, I thought, ooh, we have pressured so many people, and especially women, I think, to follow their passion, make your passion your job, and you'll be happy every day of your life. But then they're doing things that they're not necessarily good at. Okay, when I was little, I used to sing. I used to sing in shows. And I mean little, like from the time I was 3 till the time I was 7. So I grew up like wanting to be on stage, wanting to sing. I would love to sing. But I guarantee you, if I was singing on stage and you had to pay and come and see me, you'd pay to not have to come see me, okay? It might be a passion, but it is definitely not my purpose, because I'm not going to positively affect anybody with my singing unless they're coming out for a good laugh, okay? We'll go to karaoke sometime, you'll see. So anyway, the two don't always align. And I feel like we need to get rid of the pressure to feel like we have to make them be the same, because they don't. Now listen, sometimes it'll happen that way, and that's awesome when it does. But I'm telling you, 90% of the time, I don't think it's happening. So here's the deal. The reason this topic came up and this lady boss even thought about it is because she watched a documentary on Netflix called Unstoppable. Sometimes, I'll tell you, when your passion and your purpose do align, sometimes it happens because of a tragedy. A tragedy can occur that can cause this thing to happen. And this story was one of those stories. So even though this story marries the two, it's not going to happen for most people, but there are a lot of good lessons in here to learn. Anyway, this was the story of a girl named Bethany Hamilton, who when she was, I think, 13 or 14, she was the victim of a shark attack. She lost her arm to a shark attack. She lived in Hawaii. This little girl, from the time she was born, spent her days on a surfboard because her parents were avid surfers. Well, it wasn't really long before her parents realized this girl has gifts on the surfboard beyond what we've ever seen. Like, she is talented and she is going to go somewhere. And she did. Oh my gosh. I mean, she was amazing. And she was in these different competitions and just blew everybody else out of the water. That fit really well. Anyway, shark attack. But she loved surfing so much, she was determined to not let that stop her. And she didn't let it stop her. She worked so hard. And she came back to the point where she was competing for world title. And she even unseated 2 world title holders in her quest to get that title. She didn't make it all the way, but oh my God, she totally lived her dream. Here's how it became her purpose. Because of the fame that was created by what she'd gone through and the way she'd come back, she said that she really wanted to inspire young girls that if you, how did she say it? I wrote it down exactly. That you can do it if you set your mind to it. So when you look at the inspiration she's become, not just to young girls, but to people with handicaps, to people with tragedies and setbacks and physical tragedies, and to every one of us when we just feel like we can't do it, we've hit a wall. She's an inspirational proof that there are no walls that can't be knocked down, that you can push through anything. If you want something bad enough, you can achieve it. So her purpose came out of her passion. The tragedy ended up marrying the two, where she can do the things she loves and be an inspiration to people all over the world, that there's nothing that they want that they can't have if they work hard enough for it. So that's awesome. But here's what she said. And this was her description of surfing. And this is what passion is. She said, "It's my passion and my love, but also my place of healing and reflection, and somewhere I can just be me." That's what passion is. That may lead into your purpose and why you're here and what you need to do with your life, but it may not. What is the thing that you love beyond anything? What is the thing that when you're doing it just feeds your spirit, feeds your soul like nothing else, that just totally makes you breathless? That's your passion. That's your passion. It may lead to your purpose, but it may not. But for the sake of this 20 minutes, 25 minutes, we're going to learn to keep your passion and your purpose totally separate. They may not ever align, and that's okay. Because let's get rid of the pressure of feeling like we have to, or we're going to be running down these roads and trying to make them align, and they don't. And then we try and do things that we shouldn't be doing, that aren't having the impact. Because face it, your purpose has to have impact, or it's not your purpose. Okay, let's go talk about purpose now. Here's how you're going to find your purpose. And sometimes it might also be your passion, but a little bit different. I believe you will find your purpose by leaning into your gifts. The universe has given you gifts that are very specific to you. There's a uniqueness about you. There's a uniqueness about each one of us that gives each one of us gifts that if you're on this earth and you don't use those gifts that you've been given, you've totally missed your purpose of life, because you were given specific, unique gifts for the purpose of using them for the good of humanity. Okay? Or why would you have been given gifts at all? Nobody's given a gift to hide it away. I think, didn't the Bible even say you don't hide it under a bushel? You let it shine. You show your gift to the world. You use your gift to feed other people, to nurture, to help other people. So if you're ignoring your gifts, you're ignoring the very reason that you were created to be who you are. So it's very important to see what your gifts are. That is going to lead you to your purpose. Now, it doesn't mean it's sexy or fancy or that, my passion is traveling. I mean, I got to tell you, I grew up in Little Italy, Lansdale, and it was a heavy, strong, tight Italian community. I mean, it was Italy on this side of the ocean. But when I go to Italy, or heck, when I just watch a show like The Sopranos and I'm surrounded by Italian culture, that feeds my spirit I got to be careful. I'm sorry. Amy warned me once, when I do this with my hands and I bang my mic and maybe make a loud sound. I'm sorry, guys. Nothing feeds my soul or my spirit like just being surrounded by that culture, to being sitting in that culture, to be sitting on a little Italian street and just watching people and listening to them and watching them interact. Nothing feeds my spirit like that. Yeah, it would be really sexy if I get a job just hanging out in Italy all the time, but that's not going to happen. That's not the reality of it. My purpose is something different than that. So your purpose is going to come out of your gifts. Now here's the deal. Your purpose might be to work in corporate America and be a receptionist for a corporation. And you might think, well, that doesn't sound very sexy. I mean, I want my purpose to be bigger. I want it to be like, I want to stand on stage and touch 1,000 lives, in 15 minutes. And okay, that's all sexy and good, but that's not reality. But here's the deal. Don't minimize the importance or the impact that the gifts you have can have on other people. So you might be thinking receptionist of a corporation, but if that's where your gifts lie, if you're somebody who's friendly and somebody who has compassion and somebody who always has a smile in their voice, do you even understand how many lives you're going to impact every single day? Every time you answer the phone with kindness in your voice and happiness in your voice, do you know what you're doing for the person on the other end of the line? You know how sick you get of making phone calls and having to deal with people who are less than happy on the phone and grumpy, yada, yada. But to make somebody feel for 1 minute like you are making them feel important or you're being kind to them, isn't that a little more of what we need in the world today, really desperately? So that might be your purpose. And don't think it's not a big purpose, because when you're touching that many lives a day, that's huge. So whatever it is, think about where your gifts lie, because that's where your purpose will lie. Now that same person, maybe there's an opening in the company in the accounting department and it's really good money and maybe it's better hours and maybe they can work from home. Like, ooh, I'm down for that. But you hate numbers and you hate accounting and you hate bookkeeping. Is that what you should be doing? No, because if there are things you hate, that is obviously not where your gifts lie. There is no purpose in that. There are people who need to do that, but those are people whose gifts lie in those areas. And the benefit of them, that's their purpose, because these are essential functions that need to be filled. So that's all important. So find your gifts. That's where you'll find your purpose. Absolutely. Your passion. Again, your passion is what you love. So these might be two totally different things. So this all comes back to balance. You really absolutely have to have both in your life, but they may not be together. So if you're trying to find your gifts, if you're trying to figure out, okay, what's my purpose? Where do I need to be? Now I have learned to separate it and not think, okay, it's got to be the thing I'm passionate about, but what am I good at? Listen, if you don't know, pull a little task force together, pull some friends together, and just sit around and say, look, I need help. Help me figure out what I'm good at and what I should be doing. And friends will help to ask you questions to draw that out, because you're the only one who knows it. But actually, some close friends might know it too, because they might see strengths in you that you don't even see, to help you realize, okay, these are my gifts. This is maybe where I should be leaning and what I should be doing. And then use those same friends, use the people you know to help connect you to people who might be able to put you in a place where you can use those gifts, right? What are some examples? One example that jumped out at me, and I've actually had a couple situations with health professionals. In one case, it's a nurse who, ended up working for a pharmaceutical company. And some of you on here are going to think you know who I'm talking about, and you don't. This is somebody I met at Polka Dot. But she just said to me a couple months ago, she's not in that field at all anymore, not even in pharmaceuticals. And she has no idea what she wants to do in her life or where she wants to be. And the other one is a health professional who's doing what she does every day and says, I'm just missing something. There's just something really missing in my life. This isn't cutting it. And again, I think it's because we feel all this pressure to feel like we've got to be absolutely loving what we're doing and loving it every second of the day. Well, anybody who's a health professional, anybody who's in nursing, especially those kinds of fields, think about their day. Is there anything glamorous about the day of a nurse? Okay, she's giving people medication. She's giving people sponge baths. She's cleaning them up. She's changing their sheets. Believe me, it's not a glamorous job, and nothing about it is fun, and nothing about it is feeling like she's fulfilling her passion. But her purpose? In her heart, she wants to help people. And we're not talking Nurse Ratched. We all know there are exceptions to every rule. But for the most part, people who are drawn to that field are people who want to help people. They have a gift of helping people. They have a gift that can look past all the crap they have to deal with and know what an impact they're making to help this person who's in a scary place, in a painful situation, to just help their day be a little bit better and to just help them land a little bit softer. So their purpose is huge, but is that where their passion is? After talking to a couple women, I know it's not. They know they're missing something. So it doesn't mean throw that out, because that's obviously where your gifts are. But it means find your passion and make sure you're finding time for that too, because that's what needs to feed you. You need to have a little bit of both. My mom's on here, but I'm going to use her as an example. We were talking the other week and we were talking about gifts. And I don't know anybody who has the gift of hospitality the way she does. That is definitely her gift. And that makes that her passion. Her purpose. Because you know what? She has already been in a grocery store and struck up a conversation with the girl bagging her groceries and liked her so much that she invited her over for dinner. She has that gift of hospitality. And there's nobody who walks into that house who doesn't feel truly loved and welcomed and like part of something they belong to. And a lot of people aren't getting that anywhere else. And when you can make people feel that way, again, isn't that what we need to be doing a little bit more of? Is just caring for each other that way. But is that her passion? I know her passion. Her passion is laying on a beach and smelling the salt water and listening to the seagulls and the crash of the waves and walking down and putting her feet in the ocean. Or being in Italy. She feels the same way about Italy I do. But they're the things that feed her spirit and feed her soul. So they're two totally different things. So I guess in closing, I really want you to start looking at separating those two things out. If you're really, really lucky, they might come together, but there's no job that you have where you're fulfilling your purpose, where there isn't going to be a lot of crap that's less than what you love doing, like being a nurse. There's a lot of stuff that's done. Or you work in an office. You might love answering the phone and talking to people, but then eventually you have to do some filing and you have to do some other crap and you don't like doing that. It's never going to be all fun and games, ever. But it needs to align with your talents, because that's why you've been given the gifts you've been given, is to use them. So separate the two, figure out what your passion is and make sure you're finding time for that in your life, and then figure out where your gifts are and let them lead you into your purpose, and let that be what you do with your life. Because if you're living your purpose and you're using your gifts, that's what you were created to do. Okay, so you're quiet today, but I hope I gave you something to think about, and I'd love to hear if you thought about it or if it made you rethink things. I'd love to hear later, how that shook out for you. So that's it, ladies. We're almost at 20 minutes, which is perfect. Have a great day. Have a great week, and I will see you here next week. Same time, same place. See ya.